Hi everyone, I'm Barmal Tabashi, Technical Director at Atera, and today I'm looking forward to showing you IT Autopilot in action through common use cases. You will see how it resolves issues autonomously, knows exactly when to involve the technicians, and get smarter with every interaction. IT Autopilot isn't just another tool, it's your always-on, 24/7 digital teammate. It cuts down Tier 1 tickets, acts like a personal IT technician for every employee, and never takes a break. It thinks, plans, acts, and adapts, delivering complete solutions. Let's dive in. OK, so in our first use case, we will see a user that's trying to open an invoice but having some trouble, so let's see it. The user just got an invoice and tried to open it, but unfortunately, as you can see, he's facing some unreadable text and cannot see what's inside. So the user turns for the Autopilot for help. And as many non-technical users, the user is just mentioning what he is facing, which he cannot see the invoice, but he's not able to really explain what was the issue. So let's see if the Autopilot can figure it out. At the beginning, what the Autopilot is trying to do is trying to ask a clarification questions to see if the user can provide more details to the context. So the Autopilot will know in which areas to look. This can, in fact, provide a much accurate response. But in our use case, the user don't know and cannot provide any more details. So the Autopilot start to dig in and use all the capabilities that it has in order to understand what happens. Or during the investigation, the Autopilot runs few diagnostics, and also it has the options to check what happened on the device before the user complained, which in our use case is actually the thing that helped the Autopilot to really understand. As you can see now, the Autopilot understands that the issue is because the user was trying to open a PDF file using a notepad, which is not an application that can properly display PDF files. So the Autopilot is offering the user to check if it has a PDF viewer software already installed, which will resolve the issue. So the Autopilot now uses another capability that it has to check the installed software. And unfortunately, the user doesn't have any PDF viewer installed on the device. So what the Autopilot is now doing is offering to install a PDF viewer on the device. And this is possible only if the account was configured with this software in the allowed software list, which allows the technicians to set up predefined softwares that the Autopilot can use in those kind of situations. So the user agreed to install this PDF viewer, and now the Autopilot finalizing the installations and will notify the user once the installation will start. And as you can see, the Autopilot is mentioning that the installation can take up a few moments and will notify the user once this is done. Few moments later, the user will get a notification like that, and the installation successfully done on the machine. And now the user is trying to open this PDF file again, but unfortunately still sees this unreadable text and not be able to solve the issue. So the user goes back to the Autopilot and tell him that the software was installed successfully, but it's still not readable and opens in the notepad. So now the Autopilot is going back to the investigation and understand that the default application for PDF was not set correctly and still on Notepad. And in order to really resolve this issue, Autopilot needs to set the default application for the Acrobat reader that was just installed. Once the user approves, the Autopilot can run this action, and once this Once this action was successfully run, the user now can go and open the invoice, and it is now open correctly, and the user can see the invoice and continue to work. So in our first use case, we saw how deeply Autopilot can go and investigate and solving issues end-to-end on the device itself. But as you know, not all of the cases related to the device itself, and sometimes you need integration to other softwares or third-party applications. So for that, we have built-in integrations in Autopilot, and among them, we have Azure Active Directory, and Office 365, Google Workspace, Okta, and more. And in our second use case, we will see an example of the Okta integration, so let's see it. In our second use case, we will see one of the common IT issues, which is forgotten password. So the user turns to the Autopilot and mentioned that he forgot his Okta password. And what the Autopilot is trying to do right now is searching for the right operation to run. And since this account was already configured with Okta integration, Autopilot now has in its toolbox Okta operations to run. So the Autopilot identifies that it can reset the Okta password and offers this button to the user. Once the user approves, the Autopilot can continue to run this reset. And behind the scene, what happens is Autopilot is using the Okta integration in order to generate a secured recent link and provide it to the user. Once the user got the link, it can click on it and immediately reset the password and go back to work. This can happen at the middle of the night or at weekend, and the user can wait a long time before he gets an answer from a technician. So once this Okta integration was configured, the user can get immediate response from the Autopilot and continue to work. Using those built-in integration, basically what you achieve is a smarter Autopilot. So you enhance the toolbox that Autopilot has, and now it can solve more things for you. So we just saw the built-in integrations and how it enhances Autopilot capabilities. But not only that, Autopilot also has MCP server support that you can easily connect any existing MCP server to Autopilot and enhance its capabilities. But not only that, we know that there are lots of existing applications that you use in your organizations that has APIs, and you would like to connect them as well. So for that, we created the Cloud Actions that allows you to connect any existing third-party API to the Autopilot. So let's see it. This is the Cloud Actions page, and here you can configure everything. So in order to create Cloud Actions, you can choose from two different approaches. The first one is manually create a Cloud Actions, which you basically need to configure HTTP requests. So all the relevant parameters and configurations needs to be set up here, along with the name and the description that will allow Autopilot to understand how to invoke these actions. So by filling all those details manually, you can configure whatever actions that you want. So the other way to create a Cloud Action is by using Generate with Copilot. And when you click on it, you will get this pop-up where the only thing that you need to provide is the use case that you want. So in our example, what we will pick is to release an email from spam using Mimecast. So we will write it down and put our authorization and click on Generate. Now, as you know, third-party APIs contains lots of endpoints, and sometimes in order to achieve the use case that you want, you really need to understand which endpoints needs to be consumed and how to combine the endpoints in order to achieve the use case that you want. So that's basically what happens behind the scene when you click on the Generate Action button. The system learns, like every developer would do, which endpoints needs to be created and which parameters need to be passed, how the authorization is set on the headers, and all the details that every request needed. So now we see that we have two new actions under the Cloud Actions. The first one is get held message list, and the second one is release held message. So both endpoints are needed for our use case to release an email from spam. And let's review one of them. So as you can see, we have the name and we have the definition already filled for us. We have under the request the host for the Mimecast API, and all the parameters and the headers, authorizations, and body for the request already filled and ready to use in Autopilot. Once we go back to the Cloud Action screen, we can see both Cloud Actions, and we can enable it for Autopilot, and also we can set them as active. And from now on, the Autopilot will be able to release an email from spam using Mimecast for all the future conversation that the user will have. So far, we saw how Autopilot can deeply investigate and solve issues, and we saw the built-in integrations along with the Cloud Actions. But sometimes you need to define Autopilot how to act. And for that, we have the custom instructions, where you will be able to teach Autopilot everything it needs to know to be really part of your organization, to act like your employee. So let's see it in action. This is the custom instruction page, and here basically you define everything Autopilot needs to know about your organizations. So it can be things like definitions or words or terms that you use in your organizations, or the software that you use. In our example, we have here Workday as our ERP system in our organization. And we also have this playbook part, which basically defines the Autopilot how to act in various situations. So we have here defined Workday as our first playbook, which is going to instruct the Autopilot that for every access request, it should forward the ticket to this specific mailbox and escalate the ticket. It doesn't need to do anything else, not to resolve the issue, simply to escalate the ticket and to forward the email, to forward the ticket to this mailbox. So let's see it. So we have user that go to the Autopilot and ask for access to Workday. As you can see, the user spelled Workday wrong with a space, but since it's part of the definition, Autopilot immediately knows what the user is talking about. And as we saw before, Autopilot now wants to just clarify if it's existing account or new account. And once the user typed that it needs new account, Autopilot is going to use this toolbox and to look for custom instructions. And once found, Autopilot now escalated the ticket as we requested in our playbook, and also explaining the user that this ticket is going to be forwarded to the right team, and the IT guys will take care of it now. Wrapping up our demo, let's recap what we've covered. IT Autopilot autonomously resolves issues by digging deep to uncover root causes. It leverages contextual understanding, runs real-time diagnostics to trace events leading up to an incident, and delivers complete end-to-end remediation. It goes broad by integrating out-of-the-box systems like Okta and acting as a smart digital technician to perform secure, authorized actions on your behalf. With extensibility through MCP servers and Cloud Actions, it can connect to virtually any third party via API. With custom instructions, IT Autopilot is powered by your organization's unique knowledge, processes, and terminology, acting like a true extension of your team. This makes it specific company aware, ensuring solutions are not just generic but highly customized to your unique business needs. I hope this gives you a clear sense of what's possible. Thank you.